Hey guys, Steve with Sailing Peregrine, and it is Memorial Day weekend. This is going to be awesome. I'm going to spend 5 days on the boat. Oh wait, it's going to be really cold and raining, and because of that, absolutely nobody is down here and showing up except for me. So, what are we going to do? Well, just hanging out on the boat right now. I'm going to create a list of projects that I'm going to work on since there's really nothing else to do except kind of snuggle up, watch TV, hang out, and have a few cocktails, but I again digress. So what I am going to try and do is work on the boat and get some projects done and show you what a little bit of sailboat life is like at a rainy day in a marina with nobody around. So let's see what trouble we can get into. Hey guys, so one thing you'll notice with boats is there's always a leak. So I've had one or two that are just very intermittent and small. So I'm going to try to track those down. Since it's kind of a nice steady rain, I'll be able to figure out where those leaks are. There's only one or two that I can tell, and I'm going to have to do some projects to find a solution for them. But let's take a real quick peek real quick. So you see that? Yeah, that's a leak. And it's coming in. I'm going to have to probably replace the mast boot on that. And I also found another one, so you can kind of get little indicators when you see, I don't know if you can see that. Let me pick a different one here. And in here, I could tell that this was a little bit damp right here. I can still feel a little bit of moisture. I don't know if you can see that on my fingers. Anyway, so this is going to have to be resealed. Another one over here, I believe it's coming in from this point right here, because I can feel a little bit of moisture and I see these little stains right here. So I know that is probably needs to be recaulked up top on that one. So overall, not really too many leaks. All right guys, so another project I'm going to work on this weekend. If you remember last week's episode where I was running the wiring for the USB outlets, I put a offshoot branch connector right into here. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to use that to load up a fan system for the Nature's Head. So I have this all wired in. I just need to patch in the fan and make sure that that's working properly. So I think this is the adapter for that, and then the fan goes in there. So we're going to try to patch that in. This is all the new air conditioning ductwork that we just had installed. So I'm going to have to create a faceplate for this. And here is our new Marine air conditioning unit. So that is a really cool one. Boat AC on the Chesapeake Bay did it. And man, they are amazing with air conditioning. This is like, I think a 16,000 BTU, and it has geothermal heat on it. So shout out to Marine Air and shout out to Boat AC for doing amazing work. Hit them up. Another project I think I'm going to try to work on this weekend is cleaning up some of the wiring in the battery compartments and looking at our solar system. I have set this sort of up loosely and tested it. So what I'm going to do is clean these wires up and really wire in things better. But I have a dual system where I'm going to have a solar array on the Bimini and one in front of the Dodger. And it's all kind of tricked out so that it works with the shading from like the mast and the sails and stuff. So it's kind of a cool design, but I'm going to have two of these and I think I want to keep them together, and I don't know that there's enough space here. So I'm going to have to work on redoing this whole solar thing. So I'm definitely going to do that this weekend. And I think the final project I'm going to work on this weekend is the propane stove. So this is all kind of been worked out. I've tested it. I used a propane detector on all of the joints and all of the fittings, and absolutely no issues. It's ran up fine. And what I think I'm going to do is I got a little bake-at-home pizza. So I'm going to hook a bake-at-home pizza up in here and see if we can test this all out, make sure it's working, and then triple check everything with propane leaks. I also have a propane alarm that I was wiring in the last episode that I want to kind of try and see if I can't test out. Hey guys, so I am playing around with the Dickinson stove here. I just reattached the propane out back. Since this is a new connection, I'm using this guy here. It's got this long, flexible sort of sensor, so I can go through the boat and I can kind of test connections as I start it up, just to see if there's anything going on. Kind of a very nice safety measure for... All right, guys, so I have a propane alarm detector here. I've checked all the seams. I've checked all the connections, and like, for example, you can just kind of go here. I know that this is pressurized now, so I'm going on the actual input and just making sure that I don't detect anything. When I initially hooked this up, I did a test run outside in the open air, not inside the boat, and kind of just really tested each connection, and I did find I did get a little bit of an alarm, and then I used definitely like gas tape to seal a lot of these connections, and it's been fine. So I'm not getting anything under here. So let's fire this up and see if we can get this to trigger. So what I might do is just see, it might get that initial reaction right on light up. So let's see if we can get it to trip. No, we don't have anything yet. Oh, there we go. So it just gave it a really low, because I can smell just a hair of propane on there. So let's see. We got this burning here now. It's running good. I have the sensor in. I'm not, obviously it's lit, so it's not generating anything, but I always like to give it that little checks, and then I'm going to check the vent back here again. I'm not getting any leaks. I don't smell anything. I like to go down here and just kind of check, make sure nothing wonky is going on. And then sometimes what I'll do is I'll run this into... Okay, so propane stove definitely works, and it works like a charm. I'll tell you, these Dickinson model stoves, I mean, they are the top of the line marine grade stove. Really, really well built, super efficient, works great. Just did that extra test. It's been one of the things on my list, was to recheck all of the propane fittings and make sure that there's no leaks, and then kind of put it through the tests. So we made ourselves a nice flatbread pizza on the Sailboat. Look at this bad boy. Oh yeah. So that's nice and nice crisp. So we're looking good here. This is awesome, man. So I'm just gonna chill out here, have a little bit of lunch, and then get started on the next project. So it's looking like this came out really good, and surprisingly in this stove we got a nice little crisp. So let's see how this tastes and if we got a good crisp. Definitely crispy. Really, really good. I'm surprised that the crisp is it's so good on this. Yeah, really, really well done. Love it. And that stove works amazing. So on to the next project. Enjoy. Good morning, guys. Steve with Sailing Peregrine, and before we get started, I need you to click like. I need you to click subscribe. It's really, really going to help us. Also, check out the links below for anything that we use on the boat. Now, after that word from our sponsors, I am back. This is the next morning. So yesterday went somewhat sideways after the pizza. Friend called me up. It's kind of laying on the boat, and I was just like, you know, like, let's get out of here. Went to the brewery, had a couple beers, and then we went to this dive bar a few miles away, and was served this sort of punch, tropical punch, out of like an old milk jug. And yeah, it was devastating. And then other friends showed up. Actually, a boatmate who's going to be helping me out today showed up. And then we hung out all night. After the bar, we hung out all night here on the boat, watched movies, drank a little bourbon, and just had a really, really great night. We did stop at the Harbor Shack in town and got this really cool Creole shrimp dish, and just had a really great night, watched some movies. Woke up this morning, he came back over, we made some really cool fresh coffee, made omelets, and kind of figured out our day. He just actually left. So we're gonna meet up back in a little bit. So I'm gonna do a couple things around the boat here, but we might be installing some lazy jacks today on this boat, trying to rig something up. And then we're gonna go back into town to the marine consignment and probably hit the brewery again, work on the lazy jacks, and kind of do some other stuff. So it's going to be a really fun day. The weather looks like it's not as rainy. It was really rainy last night. I slept like a rock. Today the rain seems to have subsided, but it's still a little overcast. So we'll see what happens.
Yes.
Hey guys, so out here on the boat and rigging up a lazy jack with my boy here. So we're basically sewing this lead wire, lead cable onto the new lazy jack line. Way too many rums in to be doing this, but but it's all right. So we're getting this done and we're installing the lazy jack up there, and fortunately we have these little lines that we're attaching to the new lines to run up the mast. So it's looking good. What do you think, man?
Gonna happen.
Oh, there we go. Okay, so we'll fill this up and then we'll pull this up the mast, and we already did the one side and that worked out great. So we'll see how it goes. Hold on. All right, so we got the other lazy jack run through. So the main lazy jack lines are done. We just got to do the auxiliary lines and lazy jack is done. So this is cool. Good morning, guys. This is turning out to be a crazy weekend. So I'm down here, like I said, for like about 5 days, and let's see, it's been really rainy and overcast, but that hasn't stopped the fun much. Actually been getting a lot of boat projects done as well, but the amount of people that are just kind of hanging out on their boats and having cocktail parties and showing up at breweries is like really cool. So yesterday, ended up having breakfast and coffee on the boat with my buddy. We met up with some other people, went into town, hit the wine bar, hit the brewery. They had the Porch Fest, as you saw, where they have like live in Rock Hall here, they'll have live musicians at all the different businesses and porches. So like you can just literally walk the streets, glass of beer, glass of wine, and watch all these cool musicians. So that was really neat. Then we ended up meeting up with a bunch of friends and just started hanging out and talking. We went out and drove around to try and find like a cool place to hang out, maybe have a cocktail, and realized that it was Sunday night, even though it's Memorial Day weekend, and everything was closed. So we were driving down the street and ended up at this house party, and it was kind of insane because we're driving down the street and it's like desolate, there's nobody around, and all of a sudden we look over at this front porch and there's like 20 people in this front porch, and they're like waving us to come in. It's just the way it goes down here. So we end up showing up to their house and hung out for probably 2 hours and just had some cocktails. Music was playing, so it was really cool. We got the lazy jack system sort of rigged up. I'm gonna go do a little bit more work on that today, but today is really wild again. It was a really great rainy night on the boat. I slept great, but like look how much fog there is out here. So this is like all of Swan Creek Harbor right here, and it's like complete fog fest. So it's pretty wild. So anyway, that's my update. So I'm gonna actually work on this cockpit today. I'm gonna try to do a little bit more layout on the lazy jack and probably hang out a bit, play some ukulele, I think. So this is pretty wild now. Little light rain, so it's just really relaxing. This is why I love boat life. So please give us a subscribe and a thumbs up. It really helps us. See you soon. Hey guys, Steve here. It is Memorial Day, I'm thinking. So been pretty quiet down here. Pretty crazy night last night, but totally fun. So it's really foggy, as you can see. We did get the lazy jack initial lines put up on the boat. So all I got to do is run some stringer lines down either side, and then that will be done. I also got out my sewing kit and I replaced the flag line right here. So it was kind of torn and tattered, and kind of got all of that done as well. And check this out. A little bit of cleanup in here, even though it doesn't look like it. Got everything kind of nice and organized, and that's my bridle that I built, but got everything a little bit more laid out. And then I did mount the solar disconnect. This thing is really cool. So this is gonna be the solar panel cell cut off for 2 arrays, one up in front of the Bimini and one on top of the Dodger. So that's done. So I have gotten quite a bit done today, a lot of organizing. I'm going to go down into the salon there and clean up quite a bit. I think that's going to be it. I'm trying to figure out what else I can get knocked out here today. So nice quiet day to get things done. So getting rid of a lot of these old junky lines that are on here. I'm going to mount a little fillet table up here too, right next to the propane grill, so that I'll have like a little work area as well. So getting a lot done. So this is really cool. Please click that thumbs up, like and subscribe. Helps us out.